12 Sports Team presents your Southern Tier Kickoff.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER if you are a Pennsylvania resident, or call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY if you are a resident of New York. Please gamble responsibly.
All right, let's take a look real quick at the picks. We break it down. We have 5 games left to pick, 4 this week, 1 next week. I have a 5-game advantage over Connor Thompson. He, of course, picked everything different than I did. So if he goes 5-0, I go 0-5, we'll have a top. If I get a win at all, he gets a loss at all, then I am your champion. We have a lot of guys here still able to get to 500 as well. So let's get right into them, and we start with the Big Ten Championship, Penn State at Oregon. I'm going to go ahead and take Oregon here. They are the #1 team in the nation. This is a close spread, and if you asked us a week ago, we didn't think Penn State was going to be in this game. Sure, they're playing with house money and all of that, but Oregon wants to buy. Oregon wants to go ahead and be the #1 team for a reason. Stay close at home and go to the Rose Bowl. I'm taking the Ducks. Who you got?
You're going to take the Ducks, too. I think this spread minus 3.5 is almost a little disrespectful to the #1 team in the country. Do I think they'll blow Penn State out? No, but I think this is more of like a one-score, 7-point kind of game.
And Penn State's big downfall this year has been they haven't been great on the rush, stopping the rush. They have a great pass rush. Fantastic. That's going to be a huge point for them here, is really keeping Gabriel in that pocket and not letting him get out and make those explosive plays. However, Oregon's offense, they are a steamroller. They are one of the best offenses in the nation. Gabriel, Tez Johnson, they're just a great offense. I think that it's going to be a bit of a closer game than some people are expecting, those 14, 21-point leads. It's going to be within 7 to 10 points, but I'm going with Oregon here.
All right.
I'm also going to go with Oregon's #1 team in the country for a reason. And like Kevin said, I thought this spread would be a little bit different. All these spreads were pretty close, obviously, in championship weekend. They're going to be about a touchdown, so you're basically just, kind of picking. But at minus 3.5, I think the Oregon Ducks will do it. For me, it comes down to coaching. I do like Franklin, but I think Oregon has the edge on that one.
Yeah, Dan Lanahan has to come up here in a big-time game.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, we talked about the Heisman. Dylan Gabriel, dark horse shot. He could have his Heisman moment here as well in the Big Ten Championship game. We move to the ACC Championship game. Clemson with a dark horse chance to get into the CFP. They're going against #8 SMU. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing like chaos in college football. I think Clemson wins this game. I think there's going to be controversy on whether or not SMU gets in next week. So I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the Tigers.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you here, Zach, and I don't particularly think this is going to be a close game. You look at the schedule that Clemson's played this year. They've played teams like Georgia. They've played teams like South Carolina. Yes, they lost to those teams. SMU has played basically nobody outside of conference besides BYU. They only put 15 points up versus them. Clemson all-time 8-1 in ACC championship games, 9-1 after today.
And this is Clemson going for their 7th college football appearance. This is playoff appearance. This is SMU looking for their first. And this is really the battle of transfers versus refusing to transfer. SMU's got about 22 transfers on their team. Dabo, we all know how he feels about the transfer portal. He just simply doesn't use it. However, I think the experience of a coach who has been here several times, obviously the Trevor Lawrence era, the Kellen Mond era, Watson era, they were a great team there. I'm going to have to go with the experience of Clemson over this shot-in-the-dark SMU team.
All right.
This one was very close for me, but I'm going with SMU. I mean, they have the ACC Coach of the Year. Dabo and Cade Klubnik at Clemson have been a little bit inconsistent, but you do make a good point. They have the strength of schedule on their side, but I just think SMU is on a hot streak right now, and I think they have the momentum going in.
All right, and no disrespect here to the Big 12 championship game, but let's roll through this one pretty quickly. We got Iowa State and Arizona State. I think Arizona State's been a sleeping dark horse. People have not really respected them a lot, and they've won a couple of big games recently. I'm going to go ahead and get Arizona State. Who you got?
I'm going to go to Arizona State as well. Just one of the hottest teams in the country right now. I see them keeping it rolling.
ASU hasn't won a Big 12 championship since 2007, but Iowa State hasn't done it since 1912, and Skadabo's been outstanding all season long. He's one of the best rushers from the scrimmage yards, only behind Ashton Genty, and even on missed tackles, only behind Ashton Genty. Forks up. Gotta go with the Forks.
I'm going Sun Devils as well. I think Arizona State is on the hot hand, like Kevin said. But this one's going to be close. I mean, you got number 16 versus number 15, Arizona State. So I'm going with the favorite there.
All right, and let's finish up with the big game of the night, Georgia and Texas. Well, actually, I mean, the big game of the day is actually probably 1-3 versus Penn State and Oregon. But still, Georgia, Texas, you got 3 versus 5. I'm going to go ahead and take Georgia. This is a home game for them. This is in the Dome. They know what they're doing. This is the SEC championship game. They got here for a reason. I think they've been disrespected all year, and when it all comes down to it, they may be holding the national championship.
Yeah, I mean, this Georgia team just doesn't look like your typical Georgia team to me, and that's in terms of just how sloppy they are, how inconsistent they are. I think that Texas has had their ups and downs, but a lot of injuries on that roster throughout the year. Let's go with the Horns today.
The question with Georgia is, are you going to get that second half Georgia against Alabama, or are you going to get that Georgia that played against Georgia Tech last week? It has been a lot better for Carson Beck, 12 touchdowns, no interceptions the last 3 games. But I think that Texas just has their number on this one. Texas has looked really good lately. Got to go with the Horns.
Yeah, I agree 100% with both of them. I think who depends on what Georgia you get. Do you get the Georgia that played against Georgia Tech, where you're going to 7 overtimes and barely squeaking out a win against a good Georgia Tech team? But I think the Texas Longhorns have been consistent. You don't know who it's going to be, whether Manning or Ewers. So it's kind of pick your poison there. And I think Sarkisian will get the best of Kirby today.
All right, as you guys talk all about this, the one thing that it reminds me of, this reminds me a lot of the talk about Kansas City last year. They won the Super Bowl. I think Georgia might be the same way. Listen, I'm going to thank Kevin and Keith because they won't be here next week. Michael, myself, and Kyle will finish up your Southern Tier Kickoff, our last show for Army-Navy. Thank you.